yesterday, and simple interest, well, I'm all crooked. Okay, simple interest was only paid on whatever your deposit was, right? So if I put $100 in the account for a year and the interest was 10%, at the end of the year I would have $110. And at the end of the second year, I would earn another $10 because it was only on that initial $100, so I'd have $120. Well, with compound interest, I would earn the money the first year on the $100 that I put in, but the second year I would earn interest on $110. So instead of earning just $10, I would earn like 11 or 12 the second year. And then the third year I would earn maybe 14 or 15. Because every year it's going based not just on that initial $100 you put in, but on also the money that you earn as you go. So compound interest builds faster. If it depends. If you are borrowing money and you have to pay interest, you want to pay simple interest because it's less. If you are earning money, you want to earn compound interest because it's more. So whether which one is better depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about earning, compound interest is better. If you're talking about paying, simple interest is better. Okay, so you have annual compounding, and that's when the compounding occurs yearly. So that's when the interest is calculated.
What if you withdraw the interest and deposit it?
It doesn't matter. It's based off of the balance in your account on that time. So.
For simple interest?
Oh, for simple interest? Yeah, but that's a good question. So like you earn $10 interest and then you withdraw it and then you put it, yeah, then it would, that would be a pain. You could just get a compound interest account that would do it for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Semi-annual compounding is when the compounding occurs twice a year. So that's every 6 months. Okay. Quarterly. Four times a year, which is every 3 months. You can have monthly compounding, but I didn't put that on here because I figured you guys knew what monthly was, no problem. And then daily, and if you do have monthly, it's 12 times a year. Daily is compounded 365 days a year. That's when the interest is calculated. Compounding is the calculation of the interest. So when it's yearly, they don't do any interest calculations except for once a year. The percentage of the money that's in your account. So if they compound yearly, they take the money that's in your account on that day and they take your interest rate. So if it's 5%, they do 5% times the money in your account and they pay you that interest. They calculate it every day. They usually pay it once a month. So it's compounded 365 days a year, and then it's usually paid monthly. Okay. So the semi-annual compounding is that like every 6 months they calculate. Quarterly is every 3 months they calculate. Monthly, they would calculate at the end of every month. And then daily, they compound 365 days a year, but they usually only pay it monthly. Okay. When we talked about the daily compounding, they calculate the interest every day, but then they credit it into your account once a month usually. Okay. So when we figure out how much interest $1,000 would earn in 1 year at a rate of 6% compounded annually, we don't have the formula for compound interest yet, so we're just going to use our simple interest formula. And we've got our principal of 1,000, our interest rate of 0.06, right, because we moved 2 places, so, and our time is 1 year. So I have 1,000 times 0.06, which is $60. Okay, so our interest is $60. The new balance would be $10.60. Okay. If we have a deposit in a savings account that pays 6% interest compounded semi-annually, I've got the interest, I've got the principal rate and time. My interest rate is 6. Compounding semi-annually, that means that time is 1/2 because it's 2 times a year, so it's half a year. Okay. So I take that 1,000 times 0.06 times 1/2, and I get $30. Okay. So my balance at this point is 1,030. And that's the first 6 months. And then I get compounded again because it said after 1 year, so we're going to do it twice. But this time my principal isn't 1,000, it's 1,030. And so I don't earn $30 interest, I earn $30.90 interest. So like I said, it's not a huge amount more, but it is more. So then my balance at the end of 1 year, in this case, is going to be $10.60.90. Same interest rate. Compounded yearly gets you $10.60. Compounded semi-annually gets you $10.60.90. So it's like an extra dollar almost. Quarterly interest, and we want to find the balance after the first 3 months. Okay, what is my time? 3 months happens 4 times a year. So if I wanted to turn that into a decimal, it would be 0.25, or I could use a fraction of 1/4. Okay, so it's every 3 months is 3/12. That's my time. So my principal is 1,000. My rate is 0.06, and my time is 0.25 or 1/4. So I get $15. So at 3 months, my balance would be $10.15. Okay. At 1 year, it would be different. Annually got me $10.60. Compounding semi-annual gets me $10.60.90. Compounding quarterly would get me $10.61.36. So again, not a huge difference, but you know, $1.36 difference between quarterly versus annually. It's an extra dollar that you just earned, right? And if we do 1 day, what would my time be?
365.
Yeah, that's 1 day. So if I take my principal and my interest rate and my 1 day worth of interest, so I have 1,000 times 0.06 times 1 divided by 365. I'm going to earn 16 cents that day. So after 1 day, my balance is going to be $1,000.16. I just went through and did this calculation, adding it in every time. So I went 10, 15 times 0.06 times 0.25. Which gave me 15.23. So then I did 10, 30, 23 times 0.06 times 0.25, which gave me 15.45. And then I did that times or plus the 1030. So that gave me 1045, 68. Which gave me 1569. And then I added that to the 145, 1045, 68. If Jennifer has a bank account that compounds daily at 3.2%, on July 11th she has a balance of $1234.98. Okay, so and she withdraws $200 for a car repair. And she receives a $34 check and deposited. Okay. This is going to be her balance for July 11th. So I'm going to take that $1234.98. I'm going to subtract 200 and I'm going to add 34. And I get 1068.98. Okay. And then she gets interest. At 3.2%, so 0.32, and it's 1 day. She gets 3.2% every day, but it ends up being divided by 365. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what you mean, but the way it's working.
It's 1 day. Your annual rate is for all 365 days. So it's just 1. But if I'm doing 1 day, I have to do 1 divided by 365. So it ends up that your 3.2% is actually being divided by 365 days. Does that make sense?
Why is it not an annual rate then?
It is an annual rate. It is annual. You will earn 3.2% annually.
So not every day.
But not every day. It adds up to.
Why is it called a daily rate?
Because you're mincing words. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I think they're just trying to be elitist, make us not understand.
No, it's just rate. All you need to know is rate. And then you need to know it compounds daily. See, it didn't tell me a daily rate. It's compound daily. And the rate is 3.2%. So she earned 9 cents on July 11th. So her new balance is the 1068.98 plus 9 cents. Guys, shh. So when she starts the day on July 12th, she would have that much. So she earned 9 cents, right? So her new balance, we add the 9 cents in and carry that to July 12th. On July 12th, she deposits $345.77. Okay, so we're going to add that together. So 1069.07 plus 345.77. Okay, and then we're going to find her interest rate. Where'd I lose ya? And again, it's only one day. And so on July 12th, she's actually going to earn 12 cents. So her balance at the end of the day is going to be $14.96. This particular formula, the compound interest formula, is only for if you put money in the account and don't touch it. It doesn't account for regular deposits. Okay, so if I put $1,000 in the account today and never touch it at all, this will tell me how much money I'll have in a year or 2 years or 3 years. Okay, your annual percentage rate is the annual interest rate used to calculate. Okay, your annual percentage yield is the actual yield of the money. Okay, it is higher than the APR if compounded more than once a year. Okay. Whenever you see there's APY and APR, the annual percentage rate, the APR, is the actual number that's used in the calculations. The APY is the actual percent that you end up earning, and since it's usually higher, this is what the banks advertise. It looks better. But this is not the number that they're doing the calculations with. Okay? So when you have this formula, B is the balance in the account. Okay, so this tells you not just the interest you earn, but it actually calculates the balance in too. So when we did those other formulas where we had to add it back in, we earned $60 interest, and so we had to add it. This doesn't do that. This would just give us $10.60 and we'd be done. P is the initial deposit. R is your interest rate. N gets used twice. This is the number of times it compounds per year. And then T is the number of years.
Over N, right?
Next to N. Oh, R over N, yeah. Yeah. So this is P times 1 plus R divided by N raised to the power of N times T. Raised to the power. Okay, so principal. 1650. 1 plus, my interest rate is 3%, so it's 0.03 divided by 365. Raised to the power of 365 times 3 years. So 1650, 1 plus, okay, 0.03 divided by 365 is 0.0000829192. And then 365 times 3 is 1095.
So the 1095 goes to both. Oh wait, no, you added those two.
Oops, take out the plus and I get 1.0000829192 to the 1095. That's a power. So I have to take that 1.0000829192 and raise it to 1095 first. So I actually get 1650 times 1.094175. So at the end of 3 years, she is going to have $1,805.38 in her account. Okay, so she puts 1650 in, she doesn't touch it for 3 years, she'll have 1805 at the end of 3 years. So try it again. Okay, R is 0.032, P is 8,000, T is 1, N is 365. So I have 8,000 times 1 plus 0.032 over 365 to the 365 times 1. Okay, 0.032 divided by 365. $365 times 1, that one was easy. Add those together. Raise it to the power of 365.
We're really computers to figure this out, right? So people don't sit here and do this.
Yes, well, back in the old day, yes, people had to sit here and figure this out.
They get paid a lot.
No.